Okay, well, I'm calling to order the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Committee of February 11th, 2021. At the present time, we have Caitlin Rooks and Chris Fowles here. I think Diana Fetterman won't be joining us this evening, and hoping Ed Gibson will tune in when he's got a minute. But this is just a meeting that we thought we would schedule to catch up and see where we are with any other grants coming along. So this meeting is being conducted via Zoom as usual, given the current situation with pandemic and Governor Baker's orders. It is being recorded and it is found on the Easthampton Media website as well as the town website for anybody who's interested to hear our deliberations and confusion. But anyway, at this point in time, I don't see any people around for public access, but I don't see anybody hanging around. I don't think people really know too much about what we're doing. I did invite a couple of people just in case I shared the Zoom link with them, just in case, the head of planning board and housing, just in case. Okay, Ed's trying to sign on, so we'll see if he catches in here in a minute. But I think what we'll do is forego the minutes since we don't have a quorum. So we'll pick up the minutes last time. We actually have all 4 of our meetings since December have been recorded and those are up online. And so if anybody wanted to follow that, but we will follow up with getting meetings minutes posted. We had 2 sets of minutes that have been approved and should be up on our website. I just need to get permission to post them. And then we'll just wait till next time. There was nothing major in our minutes over the last couple of meetings that can't be seen already in the video. So we'll just pick those up the next time. Here comes Ed. Hopefully. Hopefully. Here he goes. Good. Ooh, black lights. Spotlights.
Hi there.
Hi. You have a couple of very bright lights in your screen there.
Thank you. I get darker if I shut them off, however. So.
Okay, well, that's okay. Believe it. I see what you mean.
I don't think I've ever seen Ed at home. He's always working.
I know. That's good. That's good. Glad you made it home.
Well, I looked at it and I goes, okay, I got a 5:30. I've got a 6, which will turn into a 6:30. I'll be on Zoom until 8. I goes, I didn't really want to get home at 9 tonight, so yeah. I rushed here and said I'll do it from home.
No, that's great. Well, you had a very long meeting a couple of nights ago, so I'm glad you made it home instead. But no, feel free to turn your light back on. That's fine. We would like to see you at least.
Well, all you're gonna do is see a shadow.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's at least we know that there is a real person behind the voice.
Yeah, there is. I've got my new laptop, but I got to load everything on it and get it going. So
I got it. Okay. So we were just starting actually. Diana, I think, is not joining us this evening. She had another conflict to deal with, and we just decided we'd jump right in because our time is maybe a little bit tight tonight. I know by the time we get going, we both have got the tech committee, and then as Kate said, her husband is coming home with a kiddo and he's got to be at the tech meeting too. So all 3 of us, I gotta do a better job coordinating with Dan, and we're gonna alternate these days so we're not falling on top of each other. So we'll do that next time, I promise. We won't be sitting on top of both meetings here. Anyway, so with that in mind, I mentioned that there are the 4 past meetings that are already posted on our YouTube video. We don't need to bother, spending a lot of time on minutes this time. I'd rather jump over the last minutes to approve, and we'll do those next time around as a first thing, if that's okay with everybody. And just jump into a couple of things that we had as old business, and one of them is really kind of an old business that we talked about way back when and never really acted on. I'm going to see if I can bring this up. We had talked about doing doing a town grant inventory. And I guess I'm wondering, and this will tie into Kate's spreadsheet that she's been developing over time. I guess I'm wondering if we still think this is relevant. Part of me says yes, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm willing to be talked one way or another to this, but originally the idea was to try to do a survey of the various departments or committees in town and that seem to traditionally get grants one way or another, that have gotten them themselves over time, and just trying to have kind of a master list so that we can add that to what we're finding and be sure that, you know, we're helping people keep track of deadlines, etc. Everybody gets busy, and sometimes a deadline comes and goes and you don't even realize that, oops, you missed it. So this was all it was going to be, was just when was your last grant? We were talking, I think, over the last 3 years, maybe. No more than 5, but I think 3 years would be sufficient. So when was it awarded? What was the name? Where did it come from? Was it a state or a federal grant or some other thing? You know, what was the purpose of the grant? How much did you get? And is it done and over? And, you know, what happened, kind of thing. So I guess my thinking would be, originally my thinking was that we would probably survey folks, you know, this would go to like police, fire, I guess probably highway, planning board, Concom, COA, library, I guess basically all the departments. I don't know if that's the most logical. There may be a few others besides that. And just see if they would try to fill in the blanks for us, and then we could add this to our master spreadsheet. So I guess I'm looking for any thoughts and inputs as to whether this is useful, or do we kind of know what they've been doing? Do they know what they've been doing? So that, you know, they don't miss something that's coming up. A lot of these are probably annual grants. Some might be a one-time only, but most seem to be more or less annual opportunities. So I don't know. Any first thoughts there between?
I think it's useful.
Mhm.
I mean, it can't hurt, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it this way:
Mhm.
if the departments can answer it themselves,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it at this point.
Yeah.
If they're all going to turn around and go to accounting and say, when was that last grant I got and what was the information on it?
Okay.
I don't want to touch this right now.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Good point.
And I'll say that there is value to it, but like
Yep.
I say, if they can handle it on their own, that's fine. If they're going to turn around and put more on accounting right now,
Yep.
it needs to be delayed. So if you want to try it and it just turns out that they all
Yep.
funnel it to accounting, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I could certainly put that in the instructions that I send out. How's that? Saying do not go to accounting. You know.
Well,
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it that far. I just
No,
probably put it in there. You know, if you can answer this from your own, you know,
Right,
information you have on your own.
Yeah. No, I was kidding. I mean to do it
Yeah.
from your own records. You know, because too, I mean, a lot of it. Well, not so much with the police and the fire, but some of the other commissions or whatever that may have gotten grants, as they turn over, they don't know what their past history has been sometimes too. So anyway, we'll think about it, and maybe we can hold off until even next meeting. It's not really urgent, I don't think, but I think it would be good to get it done. And let me sort of think about a list of who I would send it to, and I'll run the list by you guys first and see what you think, because you may know who gets grants and who doesn't better than I do. I don't want to waste somebody's time if they don't ever get a grant, basically. But then again, they may want to get a grant too. So that's the other issue. I think that was part of our thought, was that people don't tend to apply for grants before the grant committee came along because they don't feel like they have time. They don't know what's out there. And at the same time, you know, they get told, well, you know, there's no money, there's no way we can do this. And so they stop looking for things. So that was kind of our original thought, was to try and get some sort of history going in terms of what we've been doing as a town.
Yeah, and there can be some value to that too, because if you've got, you know, someone 3 years ago that, you know, you or I might not be aware of, or Kate might not be aware of, that got a certain grant, and that grant
Right.
comes up again, even if it's somebody else.
Yeah,
you might, if you can tap into that and say, okay, so-and-so, so-and-so department applied for this grant back in, 2017 or whatever. Do we have any information left that we can look at and see what form they put in, what type of information they had on it? It may be valuable.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And again, I think we're looking at departments and we're looking at various boards and commissions in town. So I'll make up a list and run the list by you guys first and do up a little bit of a narrative to go with the, as an email, and then we can take it from there. How's that? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All righty.
Wondered is if there was people who are no longer on committees. Like, I'm brand new. Like, if there was people that might have more longitudinal knowledge that might not currently be on committees.
Yeah. Well, I think what I would do would be to sort of put that maybe in the text of an email, just saying, even though you might be new on the committee, but there is who the past members were, try to reach out to them if you can, and just sort of pick each other's brains in terms of what you all did. I don't know that there's been that much activity, honestly. I mean, I may be surprised, but I'm not assuming there's been a lot, but we'll see.
I just know that someone was talking to me about some old grants that they had applied for the Greenway or something like that,
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think, yeah, right. No, there had been things that had been tried before, for sure. Okay, so jumping in then, this is Kate is kind of update. Where'd it go? Why am I in there? I got to get to the top of it. Why can't I get to the top of it? Slowly. Okay. So Kate had updated her spreadsheet, and thank you very, very much for doing that. And what Kate was doing was to try and make it a little bit more readable in the squares, just with the size of the columns and the rows, so it could be more easily read through. And this looks a whole lot better.
I was gonna say, it looks pretty darn good. Nice job.
So,
you translate something into Google Sheets and it just does not translate from Excel very well. So thank you.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit of a project.
Yeah.
I've always found that with Excel and Google Docs.
Yeah.
That, they're not necessarily compatible.
Mm-hmm. Well, this ended up being okay. I was able to go into it, and I'm the one that added some of these colors in here. So what I did is the ones that are already colored as the rows, those are grants that have already been applied for, just so we know. So the first one is one that Ian applied for himself. As I think as we were first getting our committee together, he had put this one in. He already got an award for it. So he already got the money on this one. So he got a grant there.
Nice.
Yep. The housing choice one is what we put in that first $100,000. So who knows? The Mass Trails, obviously, and that'll be 2 grants. I mean, us and Concom. So I might think of, that could be in the notes or something, applied for, received or something. I don't know. But this could be like Concom and Greenway Committee or something like that. I don't know. We can think about that. But just trying to sort of take a look at what we've done so far. This is the new one I added. Kate, you might not know this one. This is the DLTA. This is out of the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And this is just basically a local technical assistance grant that they offer. And we got it last year to work on the master plan update kind of thing. And the historical commission got it to do some sort of work on a regional basis for the old canal. So it's only technical assistance. It's not any money. And they basically provide a consultant to work with you. And it's just really a simple letter. And it has to be signed off on by either the select board or the planning board. And the application deadline is tomorrow. And so far we know there's 3 things that have been sent in, to my knowledge. Historical, I believe Ed put in their continuing request for a second round of that same grant to work with regional communities on the canal. Is that right?
That's correct. In fact, I updated that one today.
Great.
For Bob.
Yeah. Okay. So historical's put in something. Planning board has put in something that's related to housing. So again, planning board submitted it because there has to be somebody that sponsors it. And planning board submitted it, but it's all related to updating our housing plan in town. There's a housing plan that's on our town website that's been around since about 2010 as well. So it's very outdated. So looking at updating our housing production plan and what that means in terms of any bylaw changes, et cetera. So that's gone in. And then Francine and I worked on one to look at regional ideas for human resources to try and figure out how we can do something in town to get a better idea of what we need for human resources and how to get, be competitive as a small town and, not have all the resources in the world to do it, but how do we manage all that? So what that's being proposed as, actually talking to the PVPC, they recommended we put it in as a regional possibility because they have other towns that are interested in the same thing and the same problem that we are. So we ended up doing that, and it basically, we let them choose the towns because they know who it is. So they would group us with, who knows, maybe 2 or 3 other towns to be like a consortium to discuss our issues and problems with, pay scales and job descriptions and all that kind of stuff. So we shall see. So 3 things have gone in there. So that's kind of where we are. We hadn't gone further with, let's see. Oh, I should make this a different color. With the Rails to Trails, this is still out there for March 1. We hadn't really looked at it because I think, it seems to me like this is going to need more. If it's a Conant thing, it's got to be Parks has got to get involved in it. I think it's probably not one for this year, but I probably should read it again. Kate, I don't know.
It's mostly for consultation for planning. So it's like expert resources to help you to identify more sources of funding or grant opportunities, and also, to give people a little bit more like maybe technical or, logistical support.
Right. Yeah. So I'm thinking that maybe not right now, but we'll see. We'll look at it again before the deadline just to be sure. But I think if it was for the parks, I mean, they just don't meet often enough to get organized to apply for something that's got a quick deadline of March 1st, I'm afraid, unfortunately. The culvert replacement thing, that's the one that you sent around recently, and that's the one that Randall is aware of, I believe, right? This is the same one you sent out the other day, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And so we'll come back to that in a sec. The neighborhood outreach one, this is one through Mass Woods, which is the UMass program, and Open Space has actually put in an application there, or is working on one to get some assistance to do some education about our aquifer in town. So that one is going in very soon. Oops, I'm scrolling down here, sorry. Oh, come on now. Why don't you like me? Come on. Okay, so that basically brings us to the 2 in purple. And so these are pretty much as much as Kate could do. These are organized by deadline, which is great because then that helps us sort of kind of go through things. So the community one-stop and the park grant, which would be definitely one for July that I think we ought to probably take a look at, and that gives enough time to work with parks to see if they have some thoughts in mind.
They got a ton of stuff that they don't know how to do because they don't have enough money from that CPC funding. That, if they were willing to do a little work and put in a grant application, it would probably supplement that so they could move forward.
Yeah. Now, does Parks take advantage of the open space part of CPC or what? Or not? No.
Yes.
They do. They use money out of the open space category.
Well, it's either open space or undesignated.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And right. Okay. Yeah. And I haven't seen
our OSRP will. So one of the contingencies for that grant that I made mention of was that you have to have an approved OSRP, right? But that's in a final draft state, right?
It's conditionally approved already.
Oh,
so
good.
There's just some final questions that came back from the state, from what I understand. But we have a letter from the state saying it's conditionally approved, so it shouldn't stop us from applying, and between now and then, I mean, it's got to be finalized before then anyway. So there's just some final things I think that, I don't know, Ed and the committee and Ken were working on. Is that right, Ed? I think.
Correct.
Yeah. So that should be done. So that's kind of where we are, and this is in Google Docs, and I think Kate sent a link out to it, so you can be, you know, taking a look at it. But this is kind of an overall thing that we can keep as a reference. So, am I making a echo here? I'm hearing myself. Are you guys hearing me? Okay.
It's a little tinny. Might be it might be a little bit echoey, but
don't know why. But anyway. Okay. All right, so that's basically that. So let me jump, and I will say, Kate did do, sorry, when I had that spreadsheet up, Kate had a couple more tabs on there. One was on that culvert thing, and one is on the one-stop grant. And let me see, I'll just pull up this guy here for a minute. Wrong one, sorry, go away. Wrong green thing to share here. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Yeah, this one. Kate had sent this around. I think a couple of us had gotten it too, and I had sent a note to Randall just saying, hey, I don't know if you're already doing something with this, fine. If you are interested in doing anything with it and we can help, let us know. But I didn't know, Ed, does this come under the whole MVP program that you guys are meeting on now? That's where that really sits as an opportunity, or?
This is kind of a separate one that they come out with every year that you could say is, you know, not necessarily under the MVP grant program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea whether? Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of those things that if you actually identify in your MVP plan that you have culverts or something similar that you're concerned about, that with the climate change is going to lead to flooding or something else, it's along the same ideas.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of an overlap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is one. There's a typical. It's kind of a sort of a request for ideas, sort of a pitch your project kind of thing, which is coming up pretty soon. This is sort of the opportunity to throw out some ideas and talk to the people to see whether there's anything worthwhile or not. And so I did reach out to Randall just asking whether there was anything he had in mind on this, and if we could be of help to let us know. And I'm sure he'll get back to me. I just did that recently, so I'm not expecting an answer today on that one. And I think the application deadline, is in March. So basically, there's a month
before that.
That's what the expression of interest thing. That's what this is up until the 18th. So that's that kind of thing where you should try to talk to this person and reach out with an idea that you've got in mind and get feedback and that kind of thing. And so that's why, if he does have something interested, or if there's a webinar or something to watch that we can help out on, I know he's busy and he doesn't have time during the day to do that kind of thing. So, I just said, just let us know if there's something that you really want to try and pursue, then, maybe we can help make it happen. So I guess we'll let that sit for a bit until we hear from him in the next day or two. I'm hoping by early next week, maybe he'll get back to us, and, we'd still have time to, I don't know, either he could or somebody could call, or he could write up a little blurb about what he's thinking about, and we could try and present it to this Bernadette person maybe.
Yeah.
So, do you know if we've ever taken advantage of this, Ed, in the past, or?
This is one of those areas that a lot of municipalities are afraid of, because the fear is identify the project, get $50,000 for it, and it turns into a $150,000 project, and you got to come up with your own funding to
Yeah.
basically finish it off. And culverts are one of those areas that your scope can expand as soon as you start the work. So
Okay.
it's a little bit of trepidation there about, okay, can we make this work and get enough money for it to actually pay for the whole project. So if there's something out there that needs work that, isn't outrageous, Randall will know about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then if not that opportunity, there may be something coming up as a result of your MVP process, right?
Yep. Yeah. The idea of doing the MVP plan is once you've finished it and you've identified certain areas that you're vulnerable to, the state actually makes other money for grants available. And if you can pick out one of those areas that you've identified in your plan, it makes you eligible to put in for that grant.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there would be another opportunity, even if we end up bypassing this one for something like that.
Yeah, because I'm sure somewhere along the road, along the way that in that process, we are going to identify flooding issues, whether it's culverts or otherwise. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Good. Hey, Kate, do you have a new visitor?
Yeah. He goes, that's grandma. I said, that's not grandma.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi there. Very good.
Very good at the mute unmute.
Yeah, that's good. He can probably, control that better than some meetings I've been at, frankly. I was at one on Sunday that was just a nightmare. But anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It just, people couldn't figure it out for some reason. They kept muting when they were supposed to be unmuted, etc. Anyhow, okay, so one really last topic, and this is the kind of the biggest one, which is this One Stop for Growth grant. Oh, which of course, where can I find it? No. Oh, no. Hold on. Where'd it go? Nope, wrong one. Oh gosh. Oh no, where to go? Grant spreadsheet. Oh dear, hold on. Okay, hold on 2 seconds. Let me see if I can not lose you guys. I'm gonna minimize yourself for a minute. I'll be right back, I hope. Oh no, can't minimize. Okay, thanks. Didn't know that. Alrighty. Shoot. Thought I had this open. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, it's there. Okay, just didn't want me to do this. Okay. So let me try this one. Okay. I should talk. I'm doing really well here myself. There we go. Finally. All right. So this is the new animal that the state has put out, which is actually kind of interesting. Get up here. So it's the Community One Stop for Growth. And so this is a new idea, I guess, of the state administration, which actually seems quite logical, to try and consolidate and make streamline really the process of applying for grants and doing it in such a way that there is basically one application to be used that will go to 10 different kinds of programs, and you end up sort of choosing which of the programs is most applicable to you. But rather than have separate applications for 10 different kinds of grants in the state, there is basically one application. So this is what they call the Notice of Funding Availability. Excuse me, and I did put this in a folder in Google Docs called One Stop. And this is about, 15 pages long. So I just went through and just highlighted the parts in yellow to just make it easier to focus on and just things that I thought were the most important. So this is basically it, a one-stop program, one application portal. And the idea is to really make the the Commonwealth, the state, more of a funding partner rather than just, somebody to go to, but to have them help, work with communities to be sure that they can access the kind of grants that they really need for their economic development growth. So it seems to make a whole lot of sense, and it's kind of interesting that it took forever to kind of get there, but nonetheless, they have done it. And so what this does is it will consolidate all these 10 programs listed here through, you can access these 10 possible grant funding programs through one application now. And so I am not familiar with any of these. I will admit that right offhand. Ed, do any of those look familiar to you at all?
Well, MassWorks is where we got the $1 million from for the East Street Bridge.
Okay.
Let's see. Agenda 43D.
And a couple of them are new, as you see there, as they marked them there.
Yeah, community planning grants is new. That might be beneficial.
Yep, and the Rural and Small Town Development Fund too. Those are the two that kind of piqued my interest. We're not a housing.
But brownfields we don't have, which that at least that I'm aware of. We had actually used brownfields when I was in management here in West Springfield.
Yeah. I'm thinking if anything, maybe someday as we get into the Greenway, maybe we'd find something along the Greenway path. I don't know. But that would be the only thing that comes to my mind on that one. But so yeah, and we're not a housing choice community, right? I'm not sure the definition of that, but I don't believe we are.
No, we are not.
Do you know in 5 words or less what that means?
Yeah, it's basically developing, low income housing more in a, shall we say, urban setting.
Okay, so more like section 8 housing, maybe, or
yeah, a little bit different from that, but yeah, kind of an expansion on that section 8.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're not it for sure. So some of this wouldn't apply to us, but basically this I thought was interesting. So they're looking at all these things kind of on this, what they're calling this development continuum, which kind of helps sort of walk through the various steps of what a normal project would be. And so it would be unlikely, for example, for a town like us to jump right into buildings or something, because we would have to show that we've already gone through these kinds of steps, and especially the sort of this whole first grouping here, this preparing for growth, which includes these 3 kinds of categories, to me would be where we would pretty much land up. I would think if we were interested in doing something here, and I'll scroll down just a little bit more here. So this community capacity building one, and again, this seems to be more of a technical assistance kind of grant, but it did say that it could be monetary too. And I guess as we look at the grant programs, somehow it would tie back into one of their other programs called Mass Downtown Initiative and Urban Agenda. But so that's where I'm not sure how we would fit here. We'd have to read this a little bit more carefully, but it sounds like there could be something in the community capacity building. If I could scroll down just a little bit more here, that might help. So they give a couple of examples, which are kind of interesting. So, this wouldn't really apply to us, but even this second one, community coalition to fund training, to cover childcare and transportation, to get residents available, ready for new jobs in the region, because there's going to be a major expansion of an employer coming into town or something like that. It's like, well, that's interesting. So it's kind of that getting ready kind of a grant on something. And I'm not totally sure, they didn't provide any examples of other things that might be appropriate here. So that's of interest, curiosity at least.
And I don't know if this would work because it's really not involved around, shall we say, economic development, but would we be able to tie it into looking at, zoning or a location for senior housing and a relocation of a senior center?
Yep. I'm maybe here. I think I saw something a little bit later. Well, we'll run down. It might be better, but I don't know. So like right around in here is an idea too. This planning and oh gosh, sorry. Planning and zoning one. Come back. Oh, God, sorry guys. I'm losing everybody here. Come back here. My mouse is not cooperating today. Okay. So this could be a wide variety of things. So the master plan, well, we've dealt with that. The housing production plan, hopefully will get done through a TA, through the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. If it doesn't get funded there, then yeah, I think it could be something here. Because that would be the whole housing scenario plus a zoning review. Land use plan, downtown plan. I don't know what crossed my mind a little bit, Ed, was, our historical buildings, our famous, police station. And what are we going to do with it? How could we?
That's kind of what I thought was a feasibility study or some sort of analysis of how we could redo our, like that. I know I've heard a lot about this community safety complex.
Yeah.
But I feel like in order to anticipate growth, it might be worth asking if that would be an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, definitely the safety complex, just for the safety of our current police and fire, has definitely been a big issue. And it's just been a matter of locating it somewhere where it makes any sense. There, I think, over time, a couple of properties have been identified, but they're a little bit on the outskirts or on the ends of town and not within a certain mileage radius that is seemingly logical enough for fire department in particular, from what I've understood.
We found that one that was literally right next to Conant Park.
Yeah, the one that's right off the library parking lot there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's basically wetlands, so that won't work.
Yeah, it's a tough area, right?
However, my favorite parcel for that is still the property directly across from the library.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I like that property a lot. I don't know that the homeowner's interested in selling anytime soon, but that is definitely a nice.
That was the issue with that parcel.
Yeah, that's a very nice area, right directly across the street, Kate, from the library, not the one adjacent as you go into the library driveway, because there definitely is a whole bunch of wetlands there. I think that area, if we could get it, might be great for some park expansion, though. That wouldn't require real housing put on it necessarily, but maybe some park expansion. That could be the
wetlands for that other property for the person who lived in Florida, and I thought it was determined that we lined up that map and it was not on wetlands.
Not sure about that.
It is, and it really won't perk, so
yeah,
that one's out.
Yeah, we can just do a double check on it. I know that they've got some pipes out back of that house now, that Victorian. There's some I guess they're perk pipes that are out there in the area. So I know that at some point the landowner would like to sell it, but we probably need to be talking to Parks a bit more about it and see what they think about it. I think I don't think it would work probably for the I'd be surprised if it could work for the public safety complex. Just again, getting in and out, and the houses right there are so close together to get big vehicles in and out of, and then you wouldn't want to be sharing the driveway probably with the library on that. If you had to get big fire trucks in and out, I don't know. So,
but the feasibility study could be to look at, I'm just asking, could a feasibility study be to look at the different options for what would be possible in the town of Southampton for different sites?
Yes, maybe, but again, the before they kind of have gone into hibernation at the moment. The Public Safety Complex Committee had been doing that. I mean, they've looked at various sites all over town for years now. They've been trying to identify possible sites, and that's been the issue, is just not finding anything that meets the criteria that they're looking for at the moment, as far as I understand it. Do you know any more than that? But I don't think they've come up with anything that met the radius that they were trying to keep within, sort of more centrally located rather than at the north or the south end of town. We had
Right. Yeah, because you're looking at response times, basically.
Right. So there had been some property, especially down toward Valley Road, down toward the south end of town, that looked like it could be good, but that was a concern, I think, especially of fire department, about being able to respond quickly enough to other parts of town from there. So there's various considerations that they've had as they've looked at the possible sites. But I mean, not to say that it couldn't be done, but I know that we wouldn't want to redo the work that the committee's already done. But this one in here did talk in here about a request to review current zoning to identify language that excludes certain housing types, starter home zoning districts, etc. Sorry. Hang on. Sorry, I gotta call you back, please. No, I'm sorry. That's one in that category. The site preparation is more one where looking again at a site concept kind of plan. Get out of here. Let's see, our market study kind of thing, site acquisition, demolition of something. So here I was wondering, there might be something here, like if we had some old properties, like an old house, for example, an old structure that was located well, that, might be able to be demolished and turned into some sort of a site. I mean, there could be something there, but I think we might have to go through, the previous phase first, but I don't know that for sure. There has to be an identified site, but we don't have to have a developer in time. So just to throw those as ideas out there. Let's see, the permitting and all this kind of stuff. This is, engineering documents. So this would be a little bit more like in that next phase of the Greenway. If we ever acquire the land and we have to go into permitting, assuming the DOT money comes through, great. But as Paul said, we might need more than that. Who knows? There could be some pre-engineering work that could be done maybe through that. Don't know. The building condition study, I guess, is something. I know we're doing the envelope study, Ed, on the Old Town Hall, the police department. I don't know if there's anything that we might do more here if we thought about ideas for what it could look like. I don't know, but there's just wanted to show you some of the key things that attracted my attention as I ran through this. This vertical one. So this is the one with vacant or underutilized property. Now keep in mind, in that development continuum that we saw there, this is like number 4 on the list. So this is already jumping out of the 6 little steps. This is farther down the list, but it's, funding for projects with a strong public purpose. So again, affordable housing could be one. So, excuse me, but problem, construction, yeah, right here. Right. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So construction ready projects. Sorry. But anyway, so I don't know. Possibility. Then the last one, I think, which I don't know that we would have, would be the shovel ready ones, which no, unless Randall had something in mind, probably not the one we would go for, because that is the one tied in with MassWorks, as you said, and that we'd already do participate in MassWorks already, but this would be the one that would tie into that program.
Yeah, Water infrastructure depend. I know the water department has the need to whether you call it expand or improve our old water lines in towns. That's a possibility there.
Yep. Okay. Good. Good idea. Okay. So there's a few things of interest here for sure. Oh, goodness, excuse me. Now this is a couple of the new ones I think here. So you talked about trying to do something more for rural and small towns. So there is a desire to get us involved and not be just focusing on urban areas. So we're not a housing choice community, so that probably we go away on that one. But then we come up to a couple of these others, which I think is finally this little one here, the Small Town Rural Development Fund. And this would be for towns of less than 7,000. So that's us. I'm not sure what our population density is, but most likely this would deal with us. And so here we go again. Request to fund the rehab of an underused property in our community to bring housing back on the market or new water line construction. So this is the one that really jumped to my brain for the couple things that I'm aware of, as we just talked about. Whereas, there might still be something else in one of those other categories that we've looked at. Now, the good thing about this is that the town can put in 5 ideas. So you can pitch, basically you can pitch 5 project ideas. They're all on the same application form. It's, pitch, idea 1, idea 2, idea 3. And you send them all in on that one application form. This committee of all these different grant programs in Boston sit there and looks at them and provides feedback and gives you an idea where you should really direct your efforts. What's most likely to succeed, I guess. So they provide that free advice and kind of guide you during that process. And then after that, you would go for the full application if you desired. So this is where things are coming up right now. This just opened up this week on Monday, I believe. And it's open basically through the month of March. So we've got a good 6 weeks anyway to be able to pitch some ideas and send it into them. And then the actual application time, I believe, is not until April, May. So this would be the idea of, getting some project concepts out and then, getting their reaction to those and then deciding if we wanted to go through it. So the rest of this, it just tells you what the application looks like. I won't go down too much. I just wanted to show you just the timelines on things here. You can go back and do a little bit more closer read, but those were just the highlights as I talked about the typical review criteria. Is it feasible? Can you carry it out? Is it achievable? What's the cost, etc.? What's the impact? I mean, all the typical kinds of questions you'd want in a grant. What's the commitment? What have you done to get ready to do this? What's your experience in doing it? They recognize there's a housing crisis, so there's some thoughts here about doing more with housing and being more equitable opportunity. So that's one I probably should have highlighted here too. Let me just highlight that too. So of course, yeah, there we go. And so then basically the sessions, I've attended the 2 first webinars and they're posted on our Google Drive, and I did attend this 3rd one. I don't know, I didn't post that one yet. That's the application form here is a little bit more complicated. It's a Cisco WebEx format. So the format itself, the platform itself is a bit more complicated, but it is one application nonetheless. So they really want you, I think the expression of interest is not required, but they're highly recommending that we get involved and do that so that, we put some ideas forth and get reaction of the committee down there to see what makes sense to us. Basically they provide some guidance to say, okay, well, this could be better here, make it stronger here. Don't worry about that forget that part. That isn't going to fly. But basically, you can only submit during the month from May 3rd until June 4th. So I think you can actually work on your application online once you have finished with the expressions of interest and decide what you want to do. But they're going to really open the door to apply only during this month here. And then that's pretty much it. So it's open to public entities as well as nonprofits, non-municipal as well. Apparently all sorts of people are eligible to get involved in this. Needs a letter to come with it. And then just see. So this is the timeline here. So once the application goes in May, June, then we're notified by October, November of whether it's approved or not. So that's kind of the skinny on that one. And I think it's an interesting program. It certainly seems like it would solve a few headaches probably of trying to apply to many different programs. And I would think that, we could come up with some ideas that would make some sense. I did send the information around to the chair of the planning board, Paul Demon, to Randall at Highway Department, to Jim Steeney at Housing, and to Ron Lauren as the building commissioner. I didn't think about the water department. I should have. I forgot them. So I could just send that over to Tom Gahn as well. And then I guess my thought was, would it be useful to have kind of a joint meeting if we could? I did provide the Zoom link for tonight, but obviously nobody was excited about coming here tonight, and I don't blame them. But I'm wondering if you guys think, would it be better to have kind of a joint brainstorming meeting, or have them discuss it at their own committee levels first and then come back to us with an idea? I don't know, and you know better how the department heads work, and I don't know what makes sense, but
I'd probably send the information out again, and then try to do a Zoom joint meeting with it. Probably one of the other things I can think about. It's expensive, but might be able to use some of these to look at the possibility, if Westfield still has capacity for sewer in the Hamden Ponds area, to look at sewering our area there and tying it into Westfield.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I think we would come up with at least 3 or 4 ideas, no matter what, and at least be able to try and throw some things out there. And other things, Kate, that come to mind from what you're hearing here? I don't mean to not include you here. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I also think we should include for the housing. Sounds like it's a major focus and priority of this grant, and so I feel like to not include something that's housing related, especially when there's such a deficiency in Southampton of affordable housing, or
Right.
lack of accessibility to affordable housing. I think that would be a great way to kind of get us some funding to support that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I know that through the planning board, they've applied for this one small, DLTA grant that will be technical assistance to help them go through and probably do what we did with the master plan, is kind of update the master plan. So they would do something similar with the housing plan that they have on file. That is, quite outdated, I'm sure, and probably doesn't mesh with current zoning laws or something. But they can marry that with the community survey that master plan sponsored last summer, because there were some housing questions on that survey, and we got a sense of some of the residents' thoughts about housing and its affordability. So that I think they're trying for right now, and we'll know that one very soon. Even if they get it, this could still be a bigger opportunity to go for. And especially if they don't get it, this one would be one to go for. And I think the challenge there is just like with all the committees, they've got, everybody's volunteer, and it's a matter of, time, and, they meet, I think, only once a month, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But it's hard, to get everybody together and kind of walk through a whole application process. So, but I totally agree. Housing is one. I think water is another one. And so some of these other ones, I think, could be good possibilities. So I just really wanted to throw those out and just get us thinking about that, and then see if we can maybe, arrange a time. And Ed, would you suggest if we tried to do this, would this be a better, like an afternoon meeting rather than an evening meeting? Or
Depends on who you're looking for to, attend. If it was all department heads, I'd say afternoon. If you're getting into, looking at volunteers like on the planning board,
yeah,
or conservation or the water commissioners or something like that, I'd say evening.
yeah, okay, all right. Well, all right. Okay. Well, that's basically all I wanted to kind of throw out tonight. So what would be our thoughts? Should we go ahead and I'll just sort of do a little reminder to everybody and include the water folks on it this time and see if they would be interested in doing a meeting, whether they'd prefer to do that themselves and come back to us with an idea, to give us an idea, and we'd help, put it in the grant format, the expression of interest format, or, whether
Sure.
they prefer.
Yeah.
Is that okay? We'll work in that first and give them a choice, whether they'd rather work at it at their own level or have some sort of a joint meeting among the 4 or 5 or 6 of them that at most would be gathered, if we
Yep.
could get them gathered.
Hmm.
Okay, well, we've got a little bit of time, but March is almost around the corner too, so we don't have lots of time.
No.
So with that in mind, I guess I would like to see your thoughts about a follow-up meeting. Should we try for another meeting before the end of the month here sometime?
Yeah,
Certainly.
probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me see. Well, how
I
about?
bet you there's another technology committee meeting on the 25th.
I know.
Well, that's why I was gonna say, if we're gonna do another meeting and we're gonna stick to Thursday night, let's get on the opposite week of the ad hoc IT committee. So it either means next Thursday or in 3 Thursdays.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think the 4th is going to be really cutting it for an expression of interest.
Yeah, it is. The other choice, I suppose, we could move to a Wednesday. Is that a complicated day for anybody?
No.
Yeah, only when I have to attend a planning board meeting, but they haven't had anything coming up lately.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about a Wednesday? Wednesday is actually one of my semi-open days comparatively. Today's the 11th. Do you want to go for the 24th?
Yes.
Does that sound okay? Wednesday the 24th?
Mm-hmm. Then we won't be crunching as much for this expression of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think anyone would attend from the this? You said there's a safety complex planning meeting board.
Well, there was a committee, a volunteer committee.
Okay.
I think they've kind of, they haven't really disbanded, but they just haven't been active in a while. So I mean, we know that
if that's something we would want to propose as one of our ideas, is how to either, seems pretty important, but maybe this would be a way to help support, get the funding for that.
Well, the problem is identifying the location, though, and like I say, I mean, I don't have all the history to it. I know Charlie was involved in it, and a few other people. John Martin was on the committee at one point, and he's gone now, obviously. Don Warren and a couple of other people, and I know that they've looked at properties around town as recently as last year, and still we're not coming up with properties that were what they wanted for their criteria, I guess, that were suitably located.
Could it be could it be a refurb though? Like, does it have to be a new place?
Oh no, I think it needs a new facility. I mean, our current our police are in the basement of the old town hall. Yeah. And our fire station is woefully inadequate for ventilation, let alone common public health concerns.
and neither current location is large enough to accommodate a public safety complex that would house both. And the ideal location, just so you know, is if you go to the corner of Route 10 and Pomeroy Meadow, and basically go a half mile in any direction from that. That's the ideal location.
Right.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, being the sort of the center of the circle there in a way, yeah. So,
Well, that's basically the center of town.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, okay, so let's aim for the 20. What did I say? The 24th? Yeah, Wednesday.
24th, yeah.
At 5:30, and I'll do some emailing and copy you guys on it. And if you have a chance to read through this a little bit more, like I say, it's in Google Drive, and just shoot me any emails if you've got some thoughts about it. But I think we ought to try and do something with it. It just seems like it would be a good opportunity to, do maybe 2 or 3 grant ideas with one application. Would just seem
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's great.
So yeah. Okay, anything else coming up? Any other business that we need to worry about? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn if that's not.
I'll make so moved.
Okay. Kate, you want to second that?
I'll second, yes.
All right, let's call it as adjourned, and we'll move on to the next one. So thank you all.
Gibson, aye.
Fowles, aye.
Rook's eye.
All right, good.
There we go.
We are adjourned at 6:35. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah,
have a good one.
We'll be back in touch.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.